BYU is eating a sentient Pop-Tart on my TV right now. Like 2 hours ago, they were the worst team in college football. This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Look, coffee might be a no-no, but sentient Pop-Tarts and their carcasses eat away. BYU goes from playing one of the worst halves of football you could concoct to winning the game. How many times have we heard that in 2025? And the Big 12 goes from a laughingstock of, how do they think this team was going to get into the college football playoff to, I guess they are good after all. That is the entirety of this conversation. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. The first point I want to make, now the intro's out of the way, right here, Georgia Tech, the Yellow Jackets, the coaching staff, the Haynes King, and certainly ESPN like to wax poetic. Their own Roddy Jones, who's a Georgia Tech alum, was in the booth. Like, what a sad start. I want to commend them for playing this game. BYU 25, Notre Dame 0. BYU just got 2 rings. They beat Notre Dame and Georgia Tech in the exact same day. I am proud of what college football looked like today on that field because of BYU, because of Georgia Tech, because of them playing. I want you to also understand, this is the second thing I want to tell you before I get into BYU, how they won the game and how this helps the Big 12. The second thing I want to tell you, this was a crap show. The officials were horrendous. But BYU was nearly screwed in the worst way possible, premaritally. It got bad. Casey Lundquist on Twitter had just 3 of the instances, declining to review the Georgia Tech touchdown, which I don't think was a touchdown. I think he fumbled it before it got to the goal line. The missed pass interference on Chase Roberts, like Bear throws the ball because he expects a holding or pass interference called against Chase Roberts' defender. And the phantom face mask. Isaiah Glasser just doesn't touch Haynes King's face mask, still gets flagged. There were innumerable instances where all right, let's go to Matt Austin, our rules analyst. Every 3 plays, we were going to Matt Austin. He was going, yeah, guys, BYU here getting royally screwed again. I completely disagree. Thanks, Matt Austin. Glad that you're in the booth and not on the field trying to help the Big Ten crew that has never watched a college football game before. All of this, to the ESPN production and broadcast, were not what they needed to be for college. They didn't like BYU. There was this instance in the middle of the game where the play-by-play guy goes, well, let's sit at a commercial, in the middle of him saying that an Ally commercial starts. We have no replay, even of the Chase Roberts pass interference. There's the moment at the beginning of the game where they go to open it, and right before they do, Booker McFarland goes, man, the X factor here is going to be LJ Martin. Didn't even play. Like, really, really clear. Days ago, LJ Martin's not going to play, and a man making millions of dollars more than me, making way more than me, just told you the player of the game will be LJ Martin. He didn't fumble the ball. I'll give him that. Didn't turn the ball over at all today. That was good. The really weird Jack Kelly thing at the beginning, they're like, and of course, for BYU today, the catalyst, Jack Kelly. And they pan the camera to him. He's on the sidelines in street clothes. And both the announcers are like, he will not play today, but he is the heart and soul of this BYU team, right? And then they pause for a second, and the lead guy goes, and Chase Roberts. And it sits silent for about 12 seconds, and he goes, Chase Roberts, leader. Like, where did that come from? We didn't have reviews on really anything that was worth reviewing either. This was just a bad production all around, bad officiating all around, and the only thing that made it better was that BYU remembered how to play football. This is what they do. This is what they do. They go out in the first half of football games and they tell you, if I don't know how to do the Brown Bowl thing, do we throw? Do we run? And then in the second half, they find a way. It felt like Jay Hill, the defensive coordinator for BYU, was already on the plane to Michigan at halftime, and he packed it in. And out of nowhere, here come those fighting BYU Cougars. Here's how they won the game. Here's how BYU, shutting out Georgia Tech, won the game. I found the key as I was analyzing these final 30 minutes. That's coming up on Locked On Big 12. First, today's show is brought to you by my very best friend in the entire world right now, FanDuel. Maybe like second. My best friend might be Bear Bachmeier, maybe Kalani's Take, but FanDuel is certainly up there because I won $400 on this game. Because in the middle of the game, I thought BYU is going to come back and win. I'm going to make a live bet. I bet on them pregame, and then I thought middle of the game, I can feel it. And then I started feeling it less and less, but I still had a lot of money on BYU. And then they came back and they won. Live betting is the best way once the game starts to shift for you to get in on the action. It's what I did. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, FanDuel.com. Place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. The rest of the bowl season, as well as the college football playoff and the NFL playoffs, can all be found via Game Time and found in a seat in the stadium. Game Time is exactly where I go. Nothing like college football season, the tailgates, the packed stadiums, and even bowl season. Open the Game Time app. Find upcoming college football games for as low as $25. The seat view is awesome. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the app. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time. Do it today. All right, this is all the instant reaction. Like I just watched it. I see Bear Bachmeier, a 19-year-old child, eating what was once a living Pop-Tart on my television right here. That's a world we live in. That's a world we live in. And I would rather, oh no, I'm going to say it. I'm going to sound stupid. And maybe it is stupid. And you can go to your water cooler. You can bring this take as well. But I'm going to say it. I would rather have just done that against a really good Georgia Tech team that many people had in the playoffs with 4 weeks left to go in the season. I would have rather done that and won in the way the BYU did, the comeback win the BYU got, than be Tulane or James Madison. I would have rather done that than be where A&M sits right now and have the entire season be a top 3 team than be number 7, miss your conference championship game, host the largest game in your program's history, and be held to 3 points. That sucks. That feeling sucks. Like, it's really cool for the buildup. Like, oh, yeah, we're good. Yeah. And then it gets there and you fall flat on your face and you think, what was it all for anyway? BYU, on the other hand, got to go out saying, what could have been? Certainly they wanted to go to the playoff. I'm not saying this is better than the playoff. I'm saying this is better than going to the playoff and learning, oh, we're not that good. Now, I think BYU could have competed at the college football playoff. I'm not saying they wouldn't have. I'm saying other teams did not. I think BYU had a better end of their season than a school like Texas A&M. I do. If we're looking at how this game went down, shocking, stunning that BYU is down 21-10 at halftime. I thought the score should have been there's that. I thought BYU gets into the end zone. Instead, it's 3rd and goal and what have you. And they end up getting stopped inside the 5-yard line, inside the 1-yard line, and they don't have a touchdown on the board. Then there's Georgia Tech. They fumble at the goal line. I thought the runner was short, and instead ESPN is like, I think he's short, but the referee said he wasn't short. Georgia Tech gets another score on the board. There were a lot of confusing moments in the first half where I thought, wow, BYU is really getting screwed. They were down 21-10, but one thing remained the same. The Cougars had more yards as a team, and they looked like they were more physical. On defense, they were the harder-hitting team. On offense, Bear Bachmeier throwing the football was immaculate, and it just felt like even without, remember, no Jack Kelly, no LJ Martin, no Sione Moa. BYU was doing this without some of their very best players. They were doing this without arguably the best offensive player in the Big 12 in LJ Martin. Remember that when you consider they were still effectively moving the football the entire game. The Bear interception in the end zone. This could have been a 32 or 39-21 game. It could have been a 39-14 game pretty easily. The officials just decided to step in a couple of times. Bear Bachmeier going 27 for 38, 325 yards is the epitome of toughness. Like Kalani effectively said at halftime to the reporters, there will be casualties. What? They kept replaying. They asked him about it at the end of the game. They're like, Kalani, you said that people are going to get hurt. And he's like, there will be casualties. If we are going to win in the second half, there will be casualties. I was like, what? What is happening right now? But it was a message about toughness. And that's what BYU displayed. Not to say Haynes King didn't. I'm not taking away from what Georgia Tech did. They're a very tough, a very good football team. They showed this year they are a good football team. BYU just had a little bit more resilience than maybe the most resilient team, we thought most resilient team in all of college football. Let's think about that. Let's think about that. Remember the Georgia game a couple years ago, 8 overtimes, whatever it was. We all thought Haynes King and Georgia Tech, they're the most resilient, toughest team in college football. They played Georgia this year, 16-9 final score. Most resilient, toughest team in college football. The BYU just out-toughed that team. They just out-toughed one of the best teams in the ACC. And the Cougars defense for one half of football wasn't that good. I mean, Haynes King had a great day. I loved watching him play. As much as this is a love letter to BYU and what a bowl win does for the Big 12 Conference, what a win against a good Georgia Tech team who thought would be in the playoff, as good as that is for the Big 12, I give a lot of my flowers to the Yellow Jackets. I think Kalani does too. I think Bear Bachmeier does too. Again, I'm watching them eat a Pop-Tart on my television right now, holding signs that say, "Eat me." Can you eat Pop? Honor code violation? How does that work? If it was living, it's interesting. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure if that's anywhere in the book. But you saw a hard-nosed Georgia Tech team. Again, I'll say it again. Get out hard-nosed by BYU. Bear Bachmeier, you had a quarterback on one leg. You have no running backs, healthy. None of your frequent contributors, healthy. Demooney was really fun to watch. Nawahine had a couple of good runs. I was proud of those guys. But your regular starters weren't out there, so you had to rely on Bear Bachmeier, who can't walk. And he diced up the defense with his arm. He's an incredible passer. People are like, oh, yeah, the young kid, he's really good running the football. He's super tough. No. He's an incredible passer. You have to learn that. No Chase Roberts, no Jack Kelly. Yeah, and Carson Ryan was great. I'm saying next year. No Carson Ryan next year, no Jack Kelly, no Chase Roberts. But this is a BYU team that I think is built to last. Carson Ryan, by the way, 8 receptions, 120 yards. That's really, really good. 3 different BYU guys had 6 tackles. Tanner Wall had 5. This was, and BYU 4 tackles for loss. They have good pressure. It's hard to sack Haynes King. It's hard to get tackles for loss against this Georgia Tech team. As bad as the defense was at times, overall, BYU got it done. They won the game. When it mattered the most, it was BYU's game. So I commend them. On behalf of the Big 12, congratulations. You done it. This feels good, doesn't it? I will have more on this on Locked On Big 12 on Sunday, Monday, whenever. Also, Monday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern time. The Westwood One app, the Drake Toll Show debuts. 3 hours. You're like, oh, Locked On Big 12 is only 30 minutes. 3 hours of this. Pretty awesome, huh? You can find the Drake Toll Show on YouTube as well, which is cool. It's cool. It's good. If you don't want to, you don't have to, by the way. I'm not going to make you. I'm not even going to make you. Great game. Great win. BYU wins. The Big 12 wins. This has been It Always Will Be. If you hit subscribe, you can keep my job locked on. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. No se grande.